Welcome to the new How the Market Works site. Today I'm going to go through some of the new features for teachers who have already been familiar with our old system to see how we've made these changes on the new site. The first thing you'll notice is that you can't just log in with your same email address and password you had before because we've changed the registration process a bit. So the first step is registering for free. Now, instead of using your email to log in, you'll use a username. So you enter a username, a password with your email address. And another problem that we were having before is that teachers were saying that they're having a hard time keeping track of who their students were using the username system we had in the past. So now we also ask the first name and last name. And this information will appear in all of the reports when teachers go to actually administrate the classes that they've created. So because I've already registered, I'm just going to log in right at the top of the page. The next cool feature we've added is right on the open positions page. We have a few different ways to look at the things that are in your portfolio right away. For example, I have Sears right now. So using the standard view that you might be familiar with from the old site, you can see the symbol of what I own, the company name. You can click here to actually view charts or the current news for this stock, the quantity, the price paid, and then my profit and loss, and of course an action button to trade it right away. But we've also added these really cool new features where you can just view your portfolio as a series of charts to get a feel of how much you're making and where. This chart by default will be 1 day, which will show you what this stock has been doing for today. If the color is red, that means overall your return is negative, you're losing money. If it's green, overall you're making money. And you can also switch between a 1 day, 30 days, and a 1 year, and this of course applies to every single stock that you have in your portfolio. So for students who like a little more visual cues when they're trying to trade, this is the best way to do it. Down below we've also added more market news, so students always have a better idea of what they're doing and when. And then a little bit more helpful information, so this takes you to different articles in our education center that will help students get an idea of, for example, what is an ETF, or what's the difference between a mutual fund and an ETF, and how to really get started with trading. If you don't have anything in your portfolio, we also added this really cool new feature where it's actually going to filter through different recommended stocks or mutual funds, depending on what you're selecting as stocks or mutual funds. So this will give the logo of the company who's offering it. So in stocks, Coca-Cola will have Coca-Colas. It refreshes the list every few seconds, so you always have a new set of items you can look at. It'll tell you today's return that all of these symbols have had. You could trade it right away. That'll take you right to the trade screen. Or you can just get news, charts, or quotes for any of these stocks you could want. In the quotes tool, you can even find additional company information. So for example, if you don't know what PIMCO is and what their mutual funds are like, in the quotes page you can look up some of their company information all in one place. You don't have to go to any other site to try to find out, oh, what should I be investing in, or how can I do a little bit of research. Everything is now built into the site. So if we go to the trade screen, you can also see a lot more items that we've added here. We've made it a lot bigger and easier to use, so everything is clearer. For the symbol, it's the same as before, or if you put in information, it'll automatically populate a list to give you some idea of what that stock might be. But we've also added this really cool share slider, where instead of trying to figure out exactly what you want to do, you can move along this slider that'll automatically change the quantity and give you an automatic quote for how much this will cost you in total. Here you can also see, again, a brand new chart added to the page, which is the daily chart for this stock, intraday price for Coca-Cola. Over here we have even more information on the last prices, the bid ask, what it's moved for today, and even how many times it's been traded in the real markets. These quotes are now real time as well. That doesn't mean this will be the exact price you get filled at, because there's always a couple seconds between when you get the quote and when you actually execute the order, but it's a lot better than the 15-minute quotes that we used to have before. So I want to make this trade, and instead of having to go to 8 different pages to make a trade, it's all in one place. And I can confirm my order, and the order is executed. If I go back to my portfolio, you can see it's now here. This will have a list of 3 at a time, and then it'll go down to 6 with a second row, and then you'll have different pages to scroll through all of your holdings if you have the one-day chart. With the standard view, they'll be listed as they always have been, just in a nice list that you can see everything in one place. We've also added a lot of new features and tools for teachers. So for example, on the new contest pages, creating a contest is easier than ever before. There's just one button to press, create your contest now, and it takes you right to the contest creation. You just put in a name, the kind of people you're working with. This gives us a nice idea of who we're actually building new features for. Expected number of users and description, anything you'd like to put, is fine with us. The coolest new thing we've added to the contest creation is the ability to change the currency that the actual competition is going through. So some teachers are Canadian, so they'd want a Canadian dollar and they'd be trading Canadian stocks. That's great. But if you're teaching something like a social studies class, you can also say, well, I want to put the contest in Indian rupees. That way students have to make all of their trades with an exchange rate. And the exchange rate is constantly updating in real time, so their portfolio return will be based on not just what the stocks they hold are, but actually what the exchange rate between the Indian rupee and the United States or Canadian dollar is, depending on if they're trading United States or Canadian stocks. So it's a really great new tool. Not everyone's going to want to use it, but we like to have it there just in case you want to have it. Over here in our teacher resources, we also have lesson plans. This is a new thing we've added over the last month, and the list is constantly growing. Well, we have a list of over 40 lesson plans. Some of them we've made ourselves. Some of them are from Econ Ed, the National Council of Economic Education. Some of them are from places like the Federal Reserve Bank. We really pulled from all over the place, and the list keeps growing. So you'll get both the lesson plan, the target group of who it's made for, a description for the lesson plans are, and we even added for most lesson plans a way to use How the Market Works with this to get the most out of the lesson, to get your students really involved and active in the learning process. Once your contest is actually underway and you're using it, on the contest pages we've also really added a lot more tools for teachers to keep track of what their students are doing. Right here you'll see download rankings and registrations. This will download an Excel spreadsheet which has all of your students' information in one place, so you don't have to look through each student individually, and you don't have to kind of guess who is who in the rankings page. Now you get everything in one place, and I'll show you that right here. So when you download it, it'll give you this nice report of How the Market Works account statement. It'll tell you the date that you pulled the report. It'll give the student's username and their full name, which makes actually sorting through everything much quicker and easier. It'll also tell you which contest that you've pulled this from. It'll give you the student's full transaction history, including their beginning cash, all the transactions they made, the interest they've been charged, the interest they've been earned on the cash that they've had in their account, the interest they've been charged if they've borrowed any money, the cash that they finished at when you pulled this report. It'll also tell you everything they own right now in their open positions, the total value of things that they own in their open positions, their total portfolio value. It'll even tell you what their entire portfolio return was. So there's a 0.29% portfolio return, and it even compares against the S&P 500. As the more transactions per student, this gets pulled down a little bit farther as this part fills in, but it still keeps all of your students all in one place, so you can keep track of it much more easily than before. There are tons and tons of other features in this site that we've added over the last couple months. One last one I can think of off the top of my head is that now we don't have a limit anymore on how many contests you can be in. So this can stretch out, and they'll automatically be removed as your contests end to keep things simple. But for each new feature, we're going to be adding new videos to give a more detailed walkthrough of how to use them. And if you have any questions, as always, you can always contact our support desk. It's right here on the last tab, the Contact Us. This support form, we always get back to everyone within 24 hours or 1 business day. You can also call our telephone line if you have questions that need to be taken care of immediately, and we're always happy to help.